Growing fears about the coronavirus are giving false and misleading information new life online, drawing millions of views across major tech platforms. Most concerning is the way these disinformation campaigns aim to undermine trust in public figures associated with the pandemic. Billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates and Dr. Anthony Fauci are both top targets for recent conspiracies. An analysis from the New York Times shows Gates being falsely linked to coronavirus's origin theories more than 1.2 million times on television or social media between the months of February and April. Facebook, Twitter, and Google have all taken steps to delete these conspiracy videos for violating rules or to include additional context around misleading information. But in the midst of a pandemic, people are constantly searching for good, truthful information, and with that comes an unprecedented volume of news that is less and less based on real reporting. Here with me, NBC News reporter Brandy Zadrozny and Roger McNamee, co-founder of Elevation Partners and an early investor in Facebook. He's the author of Zucked, Waking Up to the Facebook Catastrophe. Thanks to both of you for being here, and I appreciate you coordinating brick wall backgrounds for this report. Roger, I want to repeat a conversation that you and I have had so many times that if people have heard us, they'll get sick of it. Disinformation, deliberate spreading of misinformation, not the accidental reposting something that you don't understand. Disinformation is at its root profitable. It makes a lot of money, and that is still why YouTube and Facebook and Twitter can't get a handle on the stuff.
Ali, the problem, very simply put, is that Facebook and Instagram, YouTube are competing for our attention. They're competing against every other form of media. In order to do that, they need to use every trick they have, and they have lots. They know so much about us that they know what kinds of things animate us emotionally. And for most people, that's going to be things that trigger fear or outrage. And the best stuff for doing that is hate speech, disinformation, conspiracy theories. So those wind up being the jet fuel for the business model of these internet platforms. And every time they take something down, it is not because they're trying to eliminate hate speech or disinformation from the platform. It is because they're trying to make a political problem go away by eliminating an individual piece of information or an individual poster, as opposed to going after the core issue, which is their business model, which promotes this stuff and really distorts public health and democracy at the same time. It's incredibly dangerous.
Brandy, one of the problems that you and I have a lot is what do we tell the public about these conspiracy theories? Because you don't want to give them more oxygen than they deserve. But in fact, people need to be warned. There is a book on the New York Times bestseller list written by a conspiracy theorist who's been taking aim at people like Anthony Fauci.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of not giving them oxygen, I think we've lost this fight. I mean, we all watched the Plandemic video sort of bubble, and we sort of hoped we didn't have to cover it. But soon, you know, I was getting people like aunts and people from back home in Florida calling me. And that's when we really know it's racking up millions of views. So by the time we actually get in there and say, okay, let's try to debunk this so people can have the facts, because this one video in particular was really, really egregious. I mean, this woman who's been a big figure in the anti-vaccination community for years and now has a book to sell was making claims that wearing a mask would make you sick and, you know, beach sand could cure you of the coronavirus. So by the time we actually got in there and we could write something, it had already been viewed, you know, 8 million times across many different platforms. And so the idea that we can really combat this with the way that the platforms are currently doing, which is see something, journalists will write about it, and then they'll say, okay, we'll take it down. It's not working.
Roger, whether it's anti-vaxxers or climate deniers, white supremacists, these are all minorities who are elevated by the algorithms that you've written in such detail about that Instagram use and Facebook and YouTube, because they are optimized to get attention. They are optimized to create, as Dean Obeidallah was saying earlier, the fear, really, the responses that make you take action.
So, Ali, the thing that we're going to struggle with forever is that our tendency is to want to believe that Facebook and YouTube are sincere when they say they want to get rid of the disinformation relative to the pandemic, relative to politics. And the sad truth is that, no, I don't think they do. And every time that they propose something, as Facebook has with its oversight board, they have attempted to put forward a bright, shining object that would distract us long enough to get past whatever political problem they were facing. And the thing is, they understand manipulating attention better than anybody on earth. And so it's like a magician. They constantly show us things in the left hand while they're doing something sneaky in the right hand. And, you know, as businesses, I guess this is their right, but as Americans, we should insist on something much, much better than this. And the algorithmic amplification that is the way that their business works, that is the heart of the problem. And until we stop algorithmic amplification, we're going to have too much political power in the hands of anti-vaxxers and white supremacists and climate change deniers and the people who deny the pandemic.
Well, I encourage my viewers to follow you both on social media because you are trusted voices and you do let us know about the things that we need to be careful of. Roger McNamee is Moon Alice on Twitter, and Brandy Zadrozny is Brandy Zadrozny. Good to see both of you. Brandy's an NBC reporter. Roger is a co-founder of Elevation Partners and the author of an important read called Zuck.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.